Hello and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. The House of Lords has voted this week to allow the government's same-sex marriage bill to progress to the next stage. The vote was originally due to take place on Monday, but the government rescheduled it to Tuesday as they were concerned they could have lost a late-night vote on the Monday. In the end, peers voted 390 to 148 to allow the bill to move forward, where it will now face a further two-day examination by Lords later this month. Lord Deer, who led this week's opposition to the bill, believes that support among peers against the introduction of gay marriage will grow as key amendments are tabled and debated. Well, here to discuss the events in the Lords this week is Mike Judge from the Coalition for Marriage. Mike, thanks for joining me. What's your reaction to the vote on Tuesday?
Well, we're obviously disappointed to have lost the vote, but it was just the first vote in the House of Lords. There will be others. It's certainly not over yet.
And do you think the last-minute rescheduling of the vote was a major factor in the result?
Yeah, it undoubtedly was. The reason that the government and the Labour benches decided to reschedule the vote was because they didn't believe that they could get enough votes late on a Monday night, and they knew that by moving it to the Tuesday they could hold the vote much earlier in the evening. Now the reason for that is that the people who voted for the bill were unlikely to stay until late in the evening in order to vote for it. They just would have gone home. Whereas people who believe in marriage, people who have deep concerns about this bill, would have stayed late on Monday night to vote against it. And there's no doubt that the government and the Labour benches felt the bill was at real risk if they'd held the vote on Monday. So there can be no doubt that changing the timing of the vote had a big impact.
Right, so where does the campaign go from here now?
Well, obviously, it's only the first vote in the House of Lords. There will be others. And we will continue to make the case for marriage. We passionately believe that marriage is important and should remain as it is. We know that we've got the support of a majority of the nation, and so we'll continue to make that case.
OK, Mike, thanks for joining me. The National Secular Society has launched a legal challenge against a local council which allows churchgoers to park free of charge in the town centre on Sundays. Keith Porteous-Wood, Executive Director of the NSS, is taking Woking Borough Council to court, claiming the scheme, which supports 3 churches in the town, is direct discrimination. Mr Porteous-Wood says the scheme gives preferential treatment of worshippers and is a breach of the Equality Act. He says he's bringing the legal action after he paid £3 to park in a town centre car park, while churchgoers were able to park free. But the council's chief executive, Ray Morgan, responded, saying that he didn't think people should have to pay to pray. And Peter Bryant, the council's head of Democratic and Legal Services, said, "The council considers that places of worship and the faith communities that they serve play an important role, both in society in general and working in particular." Diagnoses of sexually transmitted infections rose 5% in England last year, leading to a warning that people are continuing to engage in risky sexual behaviour. The figures from Public Health England showed new diagnoses of STIs in 2012 had risen to nearly 450,000. Chlamydia was the most commonly diagnosed infection, accounting for nearly half of the overall total, and of those chlamydia cases, 64% were under the age of 25. The figures also revealed new gonorrhea diagnoses rose 21% overall, and by 37% among men who have sex with men. Dr Gwenda Hughes from Public Health England said that these data show too many people are continuing to have unsafe sex, put themselves at risk of STIs and the serious consequences associated with infection, including infertility. The Northern Ireland Assembly is to ask the public for their views on introducing presumed consent for organ donation in the province. Ulster Unionist MLA Joanne Dobson is set to table a private members' bill aimed at legalising a new presumed consent system following the public consultation. Currently, people can choose to donate organs after they die, but the proposed bill would bring in what many see as a controversial opt-out system, where patients are presumed to have given their consent. Northern Ireland's Health Minister Edwin Poots is believed to support the change, which Mrs Dobson says is needed to increase the supply of organs and save lives. And finally, this week marked the 60th anniversary of the coronation of the Queen. Over 2,000 invited guests gathered for a special celebratory service at Westminster Abbey, some of whom had taken part in the original ceremony back in 1953. Today's generation of royals watched and listened as a day of great spiritual significance to the Queen was celebrated. During his address, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, said the event honoured 60 years of faithful devotion to her country. He recalled how on Coronation Day and before her crowning, she knelt in prayer.
Her Majesty knelt at the beginning of a path of demanding devotion and utter self-sacrifice, a path she did not choose, yet to which she was called by God. Today we celebrate 60 years since that moment, 60 years of commitment.
As the service ended, the Queen made her way slowly out of the Abbey, Her Majesty's 60 years of commitment to service showing no signs of diminishing. Well, that's all for this week. For more information and regular updates on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.